Tash, welcome to Tash's Library. So today's video is a book tag that I created called Favorites Around the Christmas Tree. And this is based on 8 prompts that are all Christmas carols. The first prompt is Oh Holy Nights, and this is a favorite book or series that features religion and or mythology. And for me, this is a book I read ages ago, and it's one of my favorite authors, and it's Terry Pratchett's Small Gods. This is a standalone Discworld novel, so if you haven't read Discworld because you've been put off by the 40 plus books, this is a great one to start with. It looks at this multitude of gods of every shape and size sort of competing for space at the top. And the great god appears in the form of a tortoise and needs an acolyte in order to survive. And he chooses this novice called Brufa, who seems to be the only person available. And it also includes an inquisition, and it includes a lot of philosophy about what religion's all about and the power of gods and how people worship them. And so it's a great satire on institutionalized religion. And so because of that, it may not be for everyone. Like if you feel particularly strongly about institutionalized religion, and maybe this isn't the book for you, but I found it hilarious. I really, really enjoyed it. Terry Pratchett is the master of satire. Hilarity ensues throughout this book. And it's really summed up by one quote from it that is, just because you can't explain it, it doesn't mean it's a miracle. And that's pretty much sets up what this whole book is about. Prompt number 2 is Oh Come All Ye Faithful. And this is a favorite book or series with themes of loyalty. And for me, this was a no-brainer. This has to be one of my all-time favorite novels of all time. And it's J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. This is an epic, classic fantasy that probably needs no introduction, but it follows Frodo, who's tasked with destroying the true ring that could bring the evil Sauron back into power. And loyalty is rife throughout this novel or trilogy, it depends how you view it. And you have Sam and Frodo as great friendship, undying loyalty between them. But you also have this loyalty within this found family that is the Fellowship of the Ring. You get these beautiful friendships developing. And you also have loyalty to one's city and to one's family and to one's duty. This is like the most amazing fantasy I've ever read in my life. And I know some people don't gel with it because it is a little bit old style, but to me, it's still the pinnacle of what is great out there. Prompt number 3 is Oh Little Town of Bethlehem. And this is a favorite book or series set in a town or city. And for me, I'm going to choose some more Terry Pratchett. And this time, I'm just going to do the Discworld in general, particularly any novels that are set in Ankh-Morpork. Ankh-Morpork is awesome. It is the largest and dirtiest and possibly most corrupt city on the Discworld. The setting is so atmospheric. It's basically 2 cities joined together by this river. And so you've got bridges interconnecting them. This river is always described as absolutely vile. And it's got such great settings throughout this. It's got these cool little dangerous alleyways. It's got all the guild buildings. It's got the university where all the wizards stories take place. You have the patrician's palace. You have the city watch. It's just so incredibly built up, and it's almost like you can smell and hear Ankh-Morpork. I don't know if you'd want to smell it, but it would be certainly a fascinating place to visit, and Terry Pratchett's books make you feel like you're there. And so this has to be my favorite city setting. In one of the books, Moving Pictures, which is a satire about the creation of cinema, there's a great quote that says, there's a saying that all roads lead to Ankh-Morpork, and it's wrong. All roads lead away from Ankh-Morpork, but sometimes people just walk along the wrong way. And that sums it up. Prompt number 4 is Joy to the World, a favorite book that brings you joy. And for me, it was a book I read this year, and it's T.J. Klune's The House in the Cerulean Sea. And this was just so heartwarming and beautiful, and I just wanted to hug it. It is a hug on a cold, sad day. It is so gorgeous. It made me so happy. And it follows a caseworker who's sent out to investigate an orphanage that houses dangerous children, or at least children that are perceived as potentially dangerous to the outside world because they have superpowers. And the array of characters is absolutely delightful. The plot is so heartwarming and wholesome. And really, this is a reminder of all that is good in the world. Prompt number 5 is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And this is a favorite book or series with a great animal character or animal companion. And for me, I'm going to go with Andrea Stewart's The Bone Shard Daughter, which I read this year. And so far, there's 2 books out in this particular series. It's set in an empire where the emperor uses bone shard magic, which involves removing a shard of a skull from each person when they are children. And then these shards are used to animate constructs. When they are used, however, it starts leeching the life power from the person from whom the shard was taken. So it's an awesome magic system, but at the same time, it has real social consequences for society. Now, one of the POVs in this book is a man searching for his lost wife, and his animal companion is absolutely adorable, Mephi, who is not quite described. He's described very well, but he's not an actual creature that I don't think I've ever heard described before. And it seems to be sort of this combination between an otter, dragon, kitten, but he is so adorable, and he just gradually develops his character as he grows, and he becomes such a pivotal part of the story, and he is awesome. Prompt number 6 is The First Noel, a favorite debut novel. And for me, this was a no-brainer. It was a book I read this year, and it's Becky Chambers' A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. You've probably heard me talk about this one before. It is one of my favorites of the year. It's a cozy sci-fi set in a spaceship of wormhole drillers over the course of a galactic year. And the crew is composed of a myriad of species and personalities, and they're all on their way to drill a wormhole in a different part of the galaxy. But ultimately, it's more about the journey than the destination. It's an exploration of found family and personal healing, and the writing and plot are things of beauty. It is a gorgeous book that I cannot recommend enough, and I think for a debut novel, it is astounding. Prompt number 7 is Jingle Bells, and this is a favorite book featuring music. And for me, this is The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. This is the first book in the Kingkiller Chronicle, following Kvof, a magician who tells his coming-of-age story to a chronicler whose life he saves in a pub. And it involves his attendance at a magical university, his friendships, his loves and adversaries, and his learning of magic. And the prose itself could be considered lyrical in this book, but Kvof is also a magician. He plays the lute, and it's a significant part of his identity. And this is one of my favorite books of all time. And the final and 8th prompt is O Christmas Tree, a favorite book set in nature. And this is The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. Beautiful, atmospheric. It's the first book in the Winter Night trilogy, set in a rural part of medieval Russia. Follows Vasya, a young girl with the ability to communicate with mythological creatures, and the landscape becomes a character in itself, especially in the winter where survival is really touch and go. It is so hauntingly beautiful and really deep philosophically, but it's one of the best books that I've read that's been set in nature. And that's my book tag. I kind of really just wanted an excuse to talk about some favorite books, and I thought this would be a fun way to do it. So if you want to play along, go ahead. If you like my videos, please subscribe, and I wish you all a very, very happy festive season. May all your dreams come true. Until next time, take care.